What is up, y'all? It's your friend Damian Howard here with another segment and session of Village Talks. Village Talks is a podcast that's oriented to inspire and educate those of us who are youth development workers and desire to see kids thrive. The whole impetus and mindset of what we're doing here is assuming that if we want kids to thrive, we're better off finding ways to get out of our silos and work together and learn of what other people are doing that maybe we can incorporate, what other people are doing that maybe we can synergistically work alongside them and make things happen at a better level and with greater impact for the young people that we care about, either in our geography and or be, if our work is beyond just locally where we are, wherever the kids that we're trying to reach are, we want to tap into that village to help us to do that work. So with that, y'all, I have Amanda here today with us from Right Moves for Youth, an organization in the Charlotte area. And interestingly, Amanda's coming to this conversation today, not only with experiences as a frontline worker, but today sitting in the position of a person who is really working to develop the fundraising strategy and implementation of said strategy for her organization. So I just assume uniquely Amanda being here is really going to help us as we are thinking through how to navigate political climates and all of the things to support our organization. So with that, Amanda, if you
Yeah.
could please jump in here and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Thanks so much, Damien. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for having me. My name's Amanda Schneider. I am proud to work at Right Moves for Youth in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm the director of philanthropy. I've been a nonprofit professional since 2009, and I told Damien volunteering since I was 16 years old. So I have only ever known the nonprofit space. I'm very passionate about helping youth and families be the strongest and best they can be to go out into their communities and into their world and give back, and be the strongest person that they can be. And so that has woven throughout all my career and all the work that I've done. Here, most recently at Right Moves for Youth in Charlotte, we exist to help students in grades 6 through 12 make the most of their education, connections, and opportunities to set themselves up for future success. And what that means is we know that going to school is a daunting place no matter what age you are. You're at different parts of growing up. Every student comes to school needing different things. And so what we do is we show up during the school day and we provide small group mentoring. And that, at least in our Charlotte market, we're the only ones doing that in the public school system during the school day, where we go in. We are a presence in the school building, so we want to be a part of, you know, a presence where people know that they can come to us for help. We partner with the school resource officer, the counselors, the school leadership, and we say, okay, who would benefit from this program? And not only do we get referrals, but we also get students coming up to us and say, hey, I want to do that. This is fun. My friends talk about it. I've heard of you guys. I want to do this. And then we have those students who've been with us for multiple years. And so we really can serve students where they are, from somebody who we serve students who are court involved and at risk. And we also serve students who know that they want to go. I'm thinking of a student, Lauren, who she knew she wanted to be in broadcasting. She was making good grades and she already had a lot of leadership qualities in her school and the things she was choosing to do. And so the great thing about this model in Charlotte is that we really can serve a whole gamut of youth of where they are in their life journey, and it benefits all of them. And all of these rich youth come together for a space for 1 hour a week, and our staff facilitate structured conversation. And the magic happens in that group. It's all about group work. It's all about storming, forming, norming, and performing. And we see that throughout the school year when these kids come together. They tell us they've become friends with people they wouldn't normally be friends with. They found that they've had strength in something or an interest in something they didn't know that they were interested in. And so there's something that gets them excited now about coming to school every day. Or maybe they were not coming to school every day, might have bad attendance, and let's say now they're only missing, 1 day a week, let's say. And so they're making progress. So all of that to say, it's a great organization in Charlotte. We do the best we can to partner with others that kind of fit different sides of what youth need on a regular basis and families need. And then the last thing I'll say, Damien, about Charlotte is a couple years ago, we came out to be 50th ranked, 50 out of 50 large cities across the United States. So we were last in economic mobility for a student born in poverty in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so our whole city has really rallied around that. And it's been amazing to see what can happen when a community comes together. Different people come together with different backgrounds. We put our heads together and we work together. And so I just throw in that to say that I know your audience is all over the country and it takes everybody coming together to make this happen. So.
Amanda, I understand why you are the director of philanthropy because you are such an amazing storyteller. You're sitting there telling your stories and narratives of impact in such a succinct and well packaged way. You even hit us with some of the education pedagogy language of the storming, norming, and forming, and then you even added on transforming. I'm just like, whoa, 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 blowing my mind with all of this goodness.
Good.
Talk to us a little bit about like what your personal. Let me give some context and then I'm going to ask the question. See, the thing is that people oftentimes don't know our story and the development that had to happen behind how we show up. Again,
Mm,
you have a great ability to articulate what it is that you care about. You even gave in and wove in some of your personal story, and it makes so much sense why you're
mm.
directing philanthropy. But again, give us a little bit of that backstory of your own preparation and development that you think prepared you for this now moment.
Ooh, I think so. My own personal experience, I am from Charlotte. I grew up and went to school here, and so knowing how much I care about my own community is a huge, powerful force and what I feel every day and what motivates me every day and wanting this city to be as best as we can be and everybody to thrive as much as they can thrive. So I feel this passion for Charlotte. I think growing up, I was one of those kids that I was just kind of in the middle. I wasn't a high flyer. I wasn't dropping out of school. I was just sort of in the middle, not really recognized for anything. I didn't make I wasn't making a sports team. I wasn't, you know, there's just nothing that was really, people couldn't say, "Hey, man, a great job today," or "Hey, I see this in you," or there was nothing of that. And I was very shy and kind of blended into everything. And so I think I just felt very lost along the way. And it wasn't until I was 16 and I was at a summer program and an adult said to me, "You're really good at X." And it was my ability to connect with kids and to mentor kids. And that was a huge moment for me that has just changed the trajectory of my life because I never had anyone else tell me or say, "Hey, this is something you're really good at," or "It comes naturally to you. You should do more of it." And just having an adult say that or somebody recognize that lit a fire in me, and it's just never stopped. And so everything I've done has been around, the individual person, knowing that everyone is different, everyone thrives in different scenarios, everyone needs different things to thrive. Um, and yeah, I mean, I want kids to feel special. I want them to know they have something special inside of them to share. And I know that not everybody gets that on a regular basis or gets that at all. And so, how can you feel confident to go out and conquer the world and figure out what you want to do if you don't have some little light inside of you that says, "I can do this," or "I believe in myself"? And so, I kind of bring all of that to the table. I was fortunate to have through the YMCA, lots of powerful leaders that just inspired me every day. And being around those mentors at the Y, I mean, just changed my life. And so knowing that I know that I came or I show up in spaces with different privileges and things that I know a lot of other people don't. And so knowing that how much I needed that and how much I needed a mentor, how much I
Right.
needed guidance, I can only imagine what other people need as well.
Mm. Amanda, early on in my experience beyond being in the classroom, sometimes I would feel like, and I can't think of the word right now, but I would feel a type of way because I'm like, man, I'm leaving where I should be. And health-wise, I'm feeling like I need to make a shift because my energy isn't the same that I could give so much as I was giving to make sure that I'm demanding the attention of the classroom, make sure that I'm managing well expectations of just having a peaceful, calm classroom space where its education can happen at a high level. And I felt personally that it was time for a pivot for me. And I know that you've had a unique or similar experience yourself as one of the folks that was basically anointed, right? At one point, you are the one who has that ability to do the work with the youth, and you latched on to that and you ran into it. But your body, your circumstances told you at one point you have to pivot as well. So talk with whatever comes to your mind to those folks who may have struggled and or be struggling with the fact that I know I'm supposed to be engaged with this work, but I think the
Yeah.
way that I'm doing it right now is not sustainable for my well-being.
So important, and I think not enough of us listen to our bodies and our hearts and our minds, knowing that when we're in this work, there's a good chance that our heart is a lot bigger than any other aspect of our being. And so that heart and that care drives us. And so it is so easy to get enveloped in passion that you don't stop and figure out what's best for me at this given time or what's best for me in this season of my life. And by nurturing yourself and what you need, you can then in the next phase go and maybe tackle something else or be a part of that vision that you have. So, yeah, to answer your question, I was in direct service. I was running before school programming, after school programming, summer camp, track and out camp. I was in it all day, loving it, just thriving. And then I would go home, crash, and I couldn't move. And long story short, I have an autoimmune condition. And so it just wasn't, I was making it happen and I made it happen for a long time. But I'm 40 now, and probably about a decade ago, I knew something had to switch. It just wasn't my family wasn't being first, myself wasn't being first. I wasn't being the best person I could be outside of work. I was able to show up to work and be in my mode, but I wasn't there for the really important people in my life, other important people in my life, because I had no energy left. And so, yes, I had somebody, a great mentor, hello, tell me, hey, have you thought about doing development work? And I'd already, because I was so passionate about youth, been pulled into a little bit of fundraising, like, hey, will you come help us be on my team and raise $1,000, here and there. And so I knew a little bit of it. And it's honestly, it's through people. It's just knowing that it's all about relationships. And no matter what you're doing in nonprofit work, it's about relationships. And so that's the same with fundraising. You show up, you say, hey, I want to get to know you. You're a really cool person. Tell me what you believe in. What are you passionate about? And connect them to an opportunity to do something meaningful for them. 9 times out of 10, or a good portion of that, they're going to say, I love what you're doing. Tell me more, And so when you're caring for other people, you're giving them the opportunity to show up and change the world. They are just, it's amazing that they bring you exactly what you need in the end. And so it is amazing to see what can happen when you just need to take care of yourself. It is so hard in that moment to make those calls, but I did.
Hmm.
And now I found this new outlet where I can still go into a group and show up at a high school and say, I want to sit here and be with you guys today, and I want to participate in whatever you're doing. I was saying on Saturday we had a basketball tournament. It
Hmm.
was awesome. I was walking around the gym, interacting with the kids, seeing the kids who said, you know what? I would have never made my school basketball team, but you guys did this for us,
Mm.
and this is amazing. And then we had kids walking out the door saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to try out for the basketball team next year, And so it's just, I still get those magic moments that I want,
Yeah.
and I'm just in a different part. And so nonprofit takes so many skill sets. It is a business. and it takes so many skill sets. So just figure out where you can plug in. And I also say it doesn't hurt to try lots of different things in nonprofit and wear a lot of different hats at different points in your career because we're all needed to make this happen. And so you just got to find your area.
A quick question for you. Did you attempt to shoot a half court 3-point
No,
shot while you were there? I mean, that's what would have really been magical, right? You talking
it
about your
would
connections.
have. It would have. I would tell you though, there are some girls out there who've got some skills and they were on
Okay.
the court. These were co-ed teams
Yeah,
and it was amazing.
I love it.
No, it's funny. In Charlotte last night, we retired Del Curry's jersey as a
Oh, is
Charlotte
that right?
Hornets.
Is
He
that
was
right?
number
So
30.
Steph was there.
Steph was there.
Yeah,
He
for
was.
sure.
You got it. So it was a
All
big
right.
night in Charlotte last night in basketball.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great to hear. Yeah, for a moment there, yeah, I'm not even gonna go into the Bobcats and all of that. We'll leave that alone. Um, Listen, when you talk about 50th of the cities that were looked at for whatever the study was, and Charlotte being at the bottom as it pertains to economic mobility for the young people who were born in Charlotte, it really makes no sense because I don't know all of the nuances, but at one point, I thought that Charlotte was being raised up as a primary national kind of finance center. You
Hmm.
talk about Bank of America, Truist, and other kind of prominent institutions being there. I don't know what's the disconnect that there's so much
Yeah.
access to capital in the city, but it's not landing with the young people.
Whew. Yeah, we could do a whole other podcast on that, but essentially, it was a study out of Harvard, and I think, like I said, the ability for people to take this news. I mean, it was a shock. I think it was a shock. We were, called out like this is not the city, like you said, this is not the city that we know, but this is still happening. And so I think there's definitely, when you looked at a picture of our county, we called it the pie and the wedge. And so the wedge, it's where there was not a lot of opportunity. The pie is where there was a lot of opportunity and people had resources. And when you overlay that, and I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know, when you overlay that with where the grocery stores are, where the hospitals are, where the banks are, you can see a distinct difference. And so, one, I think it happened because of the long history of how the city was built and the history of choices that were made. And so now we are fully aware of this. I think there are a lot of that's now threaded and ingrained in all the decisions that our leaders make is knowing this history. And I think the ability for everybody to look at this and say, we're not happy with this. And we've immediately come together and said, okay, so basically a group came together of leaders. And again, when I say leaders, these are also people, we had to have every bit of the city part of this group to go and say, okay, why is this way? What is happening? And let's figure out a solution. And so they've identified things that need to happen to change. And then all of us and all of our nonprofit work and the government work, businesses, we're all saying we need to do the same things. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'm also grateful that it did come out so that we didn't have to do this any longer. Um, Things are making progress, I will say. I think when it pertains to youth, it showed that we do need that foundational work when we're young that not all kids have access to. We need a family support system and well-being support systems that not everyone has. Access to opportunity. So a huge part of it was social capital. So we talk a lot in Charlotte about a lot. There are some people that have more social capital than others. And so when we talk about working with youth, we want to introduce them to new spaces and experiences that they wouldn't normally have. So we want them to come into an office building and be around professionals, and they might not have that opportunity. We are sending them to a baseball game or a football game, and they've never been in Uptown or they've never been to a professional game because they're making good choices in school, and we're recognizing that and we're rewarding their positive choices. And we're giving them these new experiences. So we do college tours, we do career tours, and then we bring in people to talk to students to share them their life story so students can relate to it and ask them questions. Well, how did you figure out what you wanted to do with your life? How did you figure out you did fit to go to college, or how did you figure out that you wanted to go into HVAC? And so by that exposure piece and increasing social capital is a huge part of this work, and that what Charlotte recognized that needed to happen. And I think that's really woven into where people are directing funding, um, and the choices that we're making as a collective community and not working in silos.
Yeah, I love that. So much of that, to your point, it could be its own session, a series of 4 sessions, really getting into all of the nuances of what you just shared. And I want to uniquely call out the fact that I really appreciate y'all are taking kids to. I know you didn't just call out basketball games, but particularly Charlotte Hornet games. I'm going to tell you why. That arena where the Hornets play is like top 3 for me as far as basketball
Oh.
arenas. I don't know. I just uniquely, we've gone twice as a family, had a really good experience. It's almost, we have this very smaller arena here called Wintrust, and it's like no matter where you sit, it doesn't feel
Mm.
like you're in a nosebleed area. Like the visibility is great. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I feel that
Mm.
anytime, a couple of times I
Good.
went to go see LaMelo and the Hornets do their thing. I don't even think
Yes.
LaMelo was there the first time I went, but I really appreciated you all stadium and arena. And even more than that, just awesome that these kids are getting these experiences and exposure that separate these nonprofit organizations they wouldn't have access to. To advance the conversation, we're at a particular point in our segment, whereas I want to give you, in your space of imagination and creativity, a magic wand. And I want you to, I'm going to nuance this question a bit because I'm kind of combining a couple of questions. I want you to use this magic wand to enhance anything surrounding the village and community that you would want to see taken to another level, all
Hmm.
towards the end and for the sake of youth development and kids thriving. What are you going to use that wand for?
Whew. I will answer that in two buckets. One from the nonprofit professional fundraising lens, and then one from the youth development lens. And so I'd say from the nonprofit professional lens, I think we the building of relationships between other nonprofit professionals is so important, not because we're trying to advance our own careers, but that in nonprofit, you're doing more with less. And so the more you build relationships all over your area or in your space, you're going to do more with more. Like you're going to make a bigger impact, because as much as there's still a little bit of this mindset of, well, I want to make sure that I get that $25,000 and not my friend's organization or my colleague's organization. And so the more we can continue to get out of our little silos and say, you know what, I met Bob today, and Bob shared that he's got an interest. And I think that's what your mission is all about, and really making those connections. And so not being so protective of the resources that we may have or the connections we may have, and really thinking of the bigger picture, a, a step ahead, 30,000 feet above our own organization, because that's just going to make the city better. So I think about that as continuing to share and collaborate on a whole other level, because I think that also from a monetary perspective is more economically stable. We're going to do more, if we can figure out where those collaborations can happen and it makes sense. We're not just doing a money grab or just to get to somebody, like where it makes sense for the best of who we're serving. And then from a youth development standpoint, I think we still have a lot of resources we need to have in our public schools, and so that these kids can thrive. And so, for example, our program is in 21 middle and high schools. Well, we have well over 70 middle and high schools in our district, and we know that we could find students, or that there are students in all 70 plus middle and high schools that would benefit from our program. And so, we're 39 years old. I would love for us to be in all of those middle and high schools, because there are students at every school that need support in a different way to be the strongest person they can be. Um, from a counseling perspective, we really are that MTSS tier one, tier two student support level. And so if that tells you, you need all those different layers of support in every single school. So I would love to be able to be everywhere. And we know, we've talked a lot about what does expansion look like, and we'd love to be in more counties than just Mecklenburg County. Again, for the same reasons, we know it's needed. We don't have the resources to be there. So we're 10 strong and doing this work for 39 years in Charlotte. So
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, we are at a point in our segment where first and foremost, I want to just express deeply heartfelt appreciation for you. And not only based on how you showed up today, but more importantly, how you continue to show up for these young people. The energy that you exuded as you, or that you personified, and like how you showed up, I know without doubt that when you went to that basketball game, there were interactions with young people. When you sit in some of those sessions, there are interactions with those young people where they get to experience the same energy that we got in this session with you today. So, Amanda, I just want to just say thank you based on how you showed up today and how you continue to show up for young people. And again, as I shared on the front end, the inspiration was there, the education was there. So I trust that anybody from my space and or your village who's watching this, they absolutely got some nuggets that's going to be helpful for them in their work. Now, I want to give you space, Amanda, to have the final word. As you give said final word, let us know where we can reach you. If there was maybe anything that we missed, questions that Damien probably should have asked that I didn't ask, and you
oh
just want to
man.
call certain things out, please go ahead and do that. Just leave us with whatever you want to leave us with before we end the session today, Amanda.
Whew. Well, thank you, Damien. I appreciate you and what you're doing. And I think it's so important for us to stop and connect with people in this space because we all need to support each other. Because people who are in nonprofit work give a lot of their heart, and we need to feed our souls too. And it's so healthy for us to continue to learn and grow. And I learn the most and grow the most when I learn what cool things other people are doing. And so I love that this is a platform that people can find inspiration and say, oh, that might work for what I'm doing too.
Yep.
Or, oh, I need to try that now as a professional. So thank you. Right Moves for Youth is um, started because you had a police officer and a businessman in the same school that were volunteering. And they said, you know what? We're kind of in similar spaces. We need to come together. This makes sense that we need to come together. Um, and work together on this. And so just having that foresight back in the 80s that they didn't need to work in their own silos. They needed to come together and talk. They were already doing similar things. They were already making an impact. And now just look at 39 years later, the huge impact that they've made. And this thing is still going strong because of the vision they had. But then, this was stuff they were doing outside of their normal jobs. So right then and there, they were already being mentors in their free time. And so I always say to people, I said, you know what? I know we're all busy. We all have families. We all have a lot of pressures every single day. We all need to sleep more. But to give 1 hour of your time a week or 1 hour of your time a month, whatever fits for you right now in your space of life is going to make a huge difference. And that can change in a couple years, but whatever you can give now is always beneficial. You don't need to go out and start a nonprofit. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm just saying there's a space for you if youth is your thing, if housing is your thing, if food insecurity is your thing, you will be changed and moved by stepping into that as much as you can today, and you'll get something out of it. And in 5 years, maybe you want to step in it a little bit more. Who knows? But as whether a professional or a volunteer, you're needed in your community, and I would charge you to do that in whatever way or skill set you can bring to the table. Um, and the other cool thing about Right Moves is, the history has just been so ingrained on focusing on the students as it should be. And we're trying to really bring more awareness to it, at least in Charlotte, because it's such a model that makes so much sense. We have 7 full-time staff, 3 part-time staff that can impact 1,000 students every single year. And we're $1 million organization. And so we can stretch that dollar a long way and make a huge impact. So I know this model would work in a lot of other places. And I know this model will could bring so much more impact to more students in Charlotte if we could expand more as well. But it's a powerful place. The people who pour into this and have poured into this for many, many years prior to me are just really special people. And those people are all over the world and all over the country doing great things. And so nonprofit work is just a really special place to be. And I love it. And I love everybody else who chooses this for a career too.
Well, listen, we want to end with that note of love resonating deeply in all of our heart spaces. I think that's just a powerful way, Amanda, for us to leave this session. So, with that, again, kudos to Amanda for how she showed up in this space today. And for all of you all who decided to watch this segment and persist, once more, that inspiration, education, I know it was there. So, in whatever way you may have been impacted by this, wherever you see it, and you're engaging in this, go ahead and comment. Let us know what stood out to you. Let us know, even if you want to get connected to Amanda or if we need to be talking more. Like it's the whole village concept, and it takes for us to not only be consumers, but contributors to the conversation as well. So, with that, this was another powerful Village Talk segment. I appreciate you all's time. Peace out.